It's too late. It's too late. You've already turned on this episode. It's too late. Welcome back to another episode of Finding a Toria. My name is Malcolm. I'm in the studio with my co-hosts.
What up?
Plus one on a shoulder, which we'll explain in a minute.
It's Emotional Support Dragon.
Emotional Support Dragon has made an appearance in the studio. Tori is supporting the Support Dragon in a supportive manner. We also have Arcadia.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome back. We're going to have a little bit of fun on this episode. And for the people that are paying for the paywall, your lives just got a lot better today. We do have a couple of conversation topics, a couple of points that Tori and Arcadia have brought to the table for us today. I'm going to do my level best to moderate some conversation around a couple of things that are in front of us today, and I'm going to let you guys introduce them, but I think that you have to have initiative to introduce your topic on today's program. I'd like to think very carefully about the bonuses that I'm going to give out. Let's do it this way. Arcadia, what's your topic?
I am going to be sort of helping people get information about how to homebrew for a school or like classroom program or like a club or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and then Tori, you would like to talk
the
about
importance of lore and how that can make things better.
The importance of being the first to go. Let's go ahead and have a +2 to both of you. It feels like a wash, but +2 to both of you. Good luck on the initiative roll. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Dice on the table.
16 + 2.
Shit.
In
12.
I was going to say, how'd you get one that came out of shit?
12.
It's a 21-sided die. Okay, so...
Dude, I have the
Do
cursed
you have
die.
the fuck you and fuck me dice?
No, I don't.
those dice.
I want them, though. Sorry, Jeff.
Well, and then for the F me part, too.
Sorry, Jeff.
All right, there we go. You have initiative.
I do have an issue.
Do you want to go first, or you're going to tee up Tori?
I want to go first.
She's going first. Arcadia is going to tell us a little bit about how to build a world and incorporating lore when building a campaign or a group for a school program or club.
So, and I'm going to correct that. I'm going to get you guys to join in on the telling of this. Because
we've been hornswoggled.
We have been building a world for 3 decades.
Yes, we have.
There's a lot of good information here. Honestly, I think the question that people will have is, why would this be any different than just homebrewing? Like, why am I specifying it for like a club or a classroom or anything like that? And so that's sort of the first piece that I want to address, which is that, when you're sitting at table to recreationally play a TTRPG, how you homebrew, if you decide to homebrew, is
we've been homebrewing
really
forever.
Sort of just up to you and your table. And for a lot of tables, it's just the DM's whim.
Sure.
Whatever they think might work well or whatever they might enjoy, etc. Difference being is that when you take this into a club or a school setting, typically as an educator, you're going to have an objective for this that is outside of, in addition to the benefits that come from sitting at the table playing a TTRPG. So that would be, to me, the biggest difference there. And so my recommendation, just like any educator would when creating, a lesson plan or anything like that, very first place you want to start for your homebrew is, what are your objectives? If you're doing this in the classroom, what are the learning points that you need to incorporate into this world?
Right, because a game has so much ability to, at least in my mind, teach so many different skill sets or reinforce or introduce different teachable education portions that you really have to kind of focus your gaze on what you want to get out of it from that, not clinical, but educational standpoint.
Yeah, and I think that there are some aspects that you can identify as an educator that are going to be beneficial to students. that are just natural aspects of the game. There's a lot of social, emotional benefits to the game that are going to happen almost regardless. Because they are just a natural part of TTRPGs.
Just intrinsic in the experience.
Right. And so you may or may not need or want to focus on those aspects, depending on your group of kids and your purpose. Maybe you want to highlight those aspects. If your goals are more of a social, emotional nature, maybe you are setting up a campaign where it's not as much, fighting the BBEGs, but it is more teamwork and it is more problem solving and
puzzles.
That collaborative, and then you've got to do the role playing of convincing or the intimidation check or the things that are socially and emotionally informative inside of the game, and you can shine a larger light on those portions of the game. It's large enough, and I say the game, but just about
any of them
TTRPG that I know of would stand that test, where you could focus on.
I wouldn't suggest Vampire for kids, though.
No, and not in my opinion, and people take it how they want. You're going to do what is right for your group of kids, your table, your group of adults. Honestly, I shouldn't just keep it to kids. Educationally, TTRPGs are also good for adult education. Vampire's probably not one. World of Darkness may not be an area you want to dive into, but maybe, let people decide what's right for their table.
Sure.
But yeah, so again, just back to what are you trying to do? Are you trying to teach a curriculum? Are you trying to teach creative writing? Are you trying to teach history? Are you trying to teach mathematics? Or I know the episode where we talked about using TTRPGs for gamified learning is, maybe you're a group of teachers and you are doing a larger, grade project that incorporates all of those aspects. So that's that very first part is you really just have to identify, just like any type of lesson plan, what do you want to teach? Because then you can build your campaign, your world around those specifics. Because if I want to be teaching, like, say, geometry and using maybe like creating siege engines or, different stuff like that.
Oh my God. Like the spells, cone
using,
cone, for real, cube of darkness, all of those.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
So
I would have paid attention in geometry.
Yeah. So depending on what you want to do there, might change how the world is that you're building. It might be a medieval world. It might be a steampunk world. It might
you could change the setting easily.
A dystopian, modern, whatever, just sort of depending on what you're trying to teach. So that is, to me, one of the biggest pieces of that homebrew world. And then diving it in. So once you figure that out as an educator, what are you teaching? Who are you teaching? What's the interest level? I think the next piece, which we've talked about for all groups, is important, but I think is essential and probably handled a little differently, is that a part of your world building has to take into consideration those like session 0 ground rules.
There it is.
Right. And those are going to probably be more important, more exhaustive as far as a list would go when you're going through that than it may be at your buddy's table. I think that you just have to check more things, especially for that school setting. And I've got a list of questions teed up already, but no, I'd agree with you. I think that the session 0 becomes much more important.
Yeah, I think there are definitely a lot of different ground rules. And the big difference, I think, is that instead of being a lot of, here, tell me what your concerns or what your triggers might be, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be more school-based. It's going to be a little bit more of, here are our rules.
Right. It's going to be predefined.
Learning objectives.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing this within a rubric, if you're doing this within any sort of school structure, then you're going to have to apply that game session into a lesson plan and actually fit that in there. So it's
and I do think that there should be, I would highly recommend that teachers do solicit information from the students about possible triggers, things that they might need to be aware of. But I would also recommend that maybe be given as a private conversation. The opportunity to share that information be given privately and or anonymously. And a really good way to do that would be like using, say, an anonymous Google form or something like that, where students can send in like, hey,
this is what I don't want to hear.
This kind of situation could be really problematic for me.
Right.
I don't feel comfortable telling you that with my name attached to it, or I don't feel comfortable in person having that conversation with you. I'm definitely not comfortable having that conversation in front of my peers.
Right.
But here's information that would be troublesome for me.
And I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine that if this has been done on any sort of a consistent level, that people are out there tailoring modules, adventures to this space, probably sans trigger, already done in a very clean or at least accepting for. I hope I'm not kicking the door into something else, but I just always feel like maybe that work had already been looked at in some way.
Yeah, definitely. And that was a point I wanted to bring up. So I'm really glad you touched on it, is that if you do not want to homebrew, there are modules out there for educational purposes, for kids, for, all of that, whether you're doing this as a homeschool opportunity or a club after school or in a classroom in a public school. There are modules out there. I think the challenge with that, which is very similar to the challenge of using a module at any table, is that module may not have the objectives or fit the objectives that you are going for. And so I would also put out there is, look through that module very carefully and don't be afraid to homebrew the module. Take it as a base and make alterations to it as you need to fit your objectives.
It makes all the sense in the world to me.
So that's sort of, to me, the difference between how you would do this if you were just doing it for a table versus how you would do it if you were trying to do it for an educational purpose. I wanted to bring it around, though, for people who maybe haven't homebrewed, haven't built a world, to, okay, so here's some differences in how you would do this, but how do you do this? How do you homebrew? And you guys are experts on this. We've been doing this for decades.
I did not wear my expert badge to the studio today. That sounded accusatory and
I don't think
praiseworthy.
So the question on the table then,
where do you start?
My question would be to throw out to you guys is, if you were giving advice to someone who, they've identified what they want to teach, they've identified sort of where their ground rules are, what maybe topics they're dealing it with, how do they start? Where do they start to homebrew?
Figure out what setting.
Yeah, I think Bert said immediately, you want to tell them where they are.
Yeah.
Because if you're asking a group of people, young or not, to get into an immersive setting, you need to tell them a little bit about it. If you're asking them to role play, you need to discuss with them what they see, where they are, and what are the features of where they are that might matter to their characters. If it could be anything from agriculture to politics. I mean, world building starts anywhere, but the more that you can flesh out the setting, I always connotate it to making the pool deeper. If you're asking people to jump in and deep dive with you, then give them all sorts of depth to, and it may not be the same thing that grasps everybody. Maybe there's a political hook that Jimmy's like, okay, this is exactly why I'm here. And then, it could be something as mundane as weather. And are you at a place that floods often? Are you, do you live in a mountainous zone where you can't really leave during the months of... All of those little things, the more depth that you do, that's just more hooks in a deeper pond.
The Hidden Valley Ranch. Sorry.
This episode is not brought to you by
HCR, babe, or
HVR.
HVR. There we go. Tori can smell.
Our first lawsuit's going to be
what?
What your thoughts to that?
Well, okay, and honestly, it was built for, it was a sandbox already.
Right.
And I just added. Mm-hmm. So I got to play in the sand. That was the one thing. I didn't build the initial world That would be you two.
Yes and no. From a DM standpoint, maybe a little bit, but as far as
lore
and our maps and our
just influence on So
like the other thought that came to me was I know this is something I've done, but to what we were talking about with the modules of changing them. And not just that, but also other interactions. How would you recommend people deal with some of that stuff? So either modifying modules or scaling things to fit the situations, encounters, and things like that. How do you make sure that you are hitting the right level of challenge and learning for the group you're with?
I'm thinking that a lot of it, if you are able to not have to do the work that's already been done for you. Once again, this is a little bit different than how I like to live. I like to live in a completely homebrewed world or element. But I'm thinking if you are in this educational setting and you are trying to glean certain things, whatever those goals that you discussed are going to be, you might be better suited to take something that is pre-done and extrapolate it or use it as a base than trying to create the entire world up until the point where you have a party of players that are now informing that world. And then that in my mind, you use those solid foundations that you got from wherever you got them, if you didn't, take the time to write the whole world, and then you let that table inform where the world's going to go and grow to.
I want to get back to that, so don't let me forget.
I won't.
But to the idea of taking a base and changing it, Tori, that is what you did for your first ever campaign or game, one shot.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about how you did that. Explain how would you tell people to do that if they've never done it?
Okay. So Tori is already built, and so I told you guys take it to level 8.
Mm-hmm. Scale.
And then I had some issues, but then I took, it was the Doctor and the TARDIS.
We did a lovely Doctor
It was a Doctor Who spinoff.
Tribute.
And so I built them in 5e. I built them in Beyond.
You built the Angels.
Yes.
You built the TARDIS. You built the Doctor. But when you talked about it, you took a base from D&D 5e to build from. So like say the
Angels were built off of golems.
Okay, so then what did you do to change that to what you needed?
I took some of the stuff and then I had to figure out how to make the Angels so they didn't move when you looked at them. But then if everybody's staring at these statues, nothing's going to fucking happen because there's enough of us that if not everybody's blinking at the same time.
There you
go. So I made them cast darkness. And
so you took a base of a golem, you applied magic spells to them that they would have access to.
So it would make it work for I had to get it into 5e somehow, and so you need a base. I can't. I'm not good enough to build from the ground up.
Right.
Homebrew.
No, it makes it a lot easier to have that base.
So you can homebrew in D&D Beyond, and you can pull monsters and change them. So it was a platinum golem. I got rid of a lot of the. They had some extra stuff that I was like, nope. And my attacks, I switched the attacks so it worked. With the Doctor and the Master, I built them as characters, but I had to figure out how to build them.
Like what was the closest character class and things like that? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but I had a problem with the Doctor.
Okay.
Because what is he? How is he going to fit in? So I made him a paladin.
Sure. It suits his persona.
It was, I think, the Oath of the Watchers.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you knew the characteristics you were going for, and you found the closest base and then took things away, added things to that made it fit accurately.
All I did was tweak it.
Yeah.
And it was just, and I built the Master wrong, which was the funniest part.
But did that, I mean, at least from my viewpoint, that didn't really damage
No,
the
you
story
guys
or the gameplay.
stomped him.
Yeah, we did.
Favorite part of that adventure?
You guys absolutely wailed on
You
him.
built that character just right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the angels fucked you up though.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan.
So I wanted to get back to the talk about, when the players start to take the world a little bit.
Sure.
Because one of the things that was brought up in the community when I was talking about game-based learning with TTRPGs
Right.
was that a lot of the teachers that have done this in their classrooms, one of the things that they've done is invited the children, the students, to do some of that world building.
Right.
So, how would you, if you were presiding over, maybe you're not the DM, maybe you are the
Teacher?
the teacher, the wrangler,
Sure.
but you're not going to
Wrangler.
you're not going to actually run the game. You're the sort of overseer of the situation. How would you help kids who maybe are completely unfamiliar with the TTRPG world, but maybe this is a good creative writing opportunity. Maybe this is a good geography project. Maybe, something. How would
Give
you
them a big piece of paper.
invite them to create this world? How would you help them know how to create the world?
The kind of the same tenets that we have been under while building a Tori is that it's all good and more is better. Mm-hmm. So if what you can do is sit down, and the way that you link into this is, I'm great at drawing maps, and I'm going to show you exactly the different mountain range passes that this happened in. Well, that what happened in? Well, then you go over to Susie, and Susie is really in this about the creative writing aspect. This is right up her alley. Doesn't roll dice, doesn't really know tables too much. We'll get to that. That's in a book somewhere. If we're building the table, I'm going to ask both of those people that have been so obvious about how they want to interact with the game, go. Tell me everything that you can, and then if I get a new group the next year, this part of the map hasn't been done yet. You just keep growing it, and it's all good. It's all good information. I think that that's what group world building brings to the table, instead of just one person sitting there going, okay, I got to tell them what's after the next river, and I haven't drawn that out yet. How about somebody's backstory was that they had an aunt that was from across the river, and this is what went down over there. Okay, well, now if you're looking at this mentally, all of the fog of war fog just cleared on that side of the map. Now it's a known, and people can start writing and building in there. And I just don't think that you run out of room for different formats of curiosity and interest to inform that.
Yeah. One of the things that I would like to share too, that I think is important based on feedback from other teachers who have done this, you touched on a little bit when you said, what if this one person's backstory is their aunt, whatever. While I do think that character creation and backstory is a huge part of in the recreational game of connecting with your character and all this other kind of stuff. One thing a lot of the teachers will do, and it's a piece of controlling the environment in order to hit the objectives and go where they need to go with the learning process, is that they will hand out roles. They will say, okay, here's the character, here is your backstory. You are XYZ person. This is your situation. This is where you're going. This is what you're trying to accomplish. And then those students need to take that on and try to problem solve based on the situation they're in, try to team build based on the situation they're in.
Because you're doing it for the educational purpose, you don't have the luxury of just opening everybody up to, build me a character and let's go from there, because it's part of that rubric. It's part of what you're trying to scientifically glean information and transfer information from. So yeah, that's going to probably thrive with less variables. I think that we touched on that point too, that you have to put a little bit of control in the inside of your game.
It's not like our table.
It's not a recreational table.
It's not a recreational table, because you have
There'd be
stated
more
objectives
controls
that are different. And like when we were talking about clinical application of the game, the game thrives off of the chaotic creative element, But to get your sciencey science done, you have to put some parameters around. That's very interesting. Is there anything else on where this is going and more information that you have? We could talk
all day long.
Yeah, we really could. And really it's not so much the information other than the fact that I would like to say we'll put some resources out in our show notes for people to look for modules and things like that are out there for this. But really just to try and give people some place to go to get started because as we've discussed in our previous episodes, using TTRPGs to help in an educational setting is just showing more and more value. And so I would hate for people to not jump on that opportunity because they just are nervous or, hesitant and don't know where to begin.
I think it would be a good follow-up to get to again when maybe we could shed specific light on some of the players in that space, some of the companies and people that are doing that work too, and push it even forward. You got them, don't you?
It is coming.
Very, very cool. Now
that sounded ominous.
Death. No, wait a minute.
No. That was last episode. That was 2 episodes ago.
All right. So what we're going to do, I think, is take a break really quick, and then we will be back with more Finding a Toria. Anything else before we send them to a promotional advertisement?
No.
All right, guys. We'll be right back. This episode of Finding a Toria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. The Finding a Toria podcast is looking for guests for our upcoming episodes. Are you or someone you know passionate about the TTRPG community and have a story to share? If so, contact us on our socials or reach out at wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. And now back to your program. Welcome back to Finding a Toria. This is Malcolm. Thank you for staying with us through the break. I have Arcadia, who just finished up a great conversation with us about starting and building a world for a TTRPG club or school program and how that differs in. And having one initiative gets to kick back, or was going to get to kick back for the second episode, but Tori's told us that she's bringing conversation to the table.
I am.
Oh, heaven forbid we have to talk to each other.
I know. It's terrible. It's not like all 3 of us don't talk.
I mean, okay, I'll do it.
I mean, oh no, so not that.
What are you talking
We
to us
are
about
talking
today,
about the importance of lore.
Love lore.
I
Which
know.
is very good to follow up on.
I know. It was
school
perfect.
program. Yeah, because definitely needed.
It's almost like people spend time coming up with this shit.
I
Heaven
know.
forbid. You think things are planned around here?
Absolutely.
That's silly.
Quarter.
Shit.
And I actually don't. I was like, I thought I had notes for this, but I didn't because,
That counts as a drink.
it does. You slam an iced tea.
Stay focused, team.
But the importance of lore, you talked about world building. We talked about how you started it and then we got to play in it and then that grew it.
Yes.
But the lore built with us.
Right. It was not a sandbox of one person's creation.
No.
And it grew with every time that we gamed, whenever anybody did a little bit of work and came back and said, well, this is part of my backstory.
Yep.
And it just informed itself into what it's become.
Well, and there is an aspect to it which we, did build out those stories when we were kids, first exploring and creating this world. But even more so as we came back to it as adults,
giant maps,
the hours that we have spent
She's calling me something?
In campaign, not in gameplay, identifying lore, building a world just based on stories that we're telling that are at this point, documented in notes, but haven't been gameplayed.
There's stuff in there that and some of it was conversations it hasn't been put to paper.
Right.
But we know what it is.
Right.
And so how do you start it? Like, how do you start when you start world building? Mm-hmm. See, I said this was a conversation because I wasn't the one, like I helped inform the world. and later on, I was more able to put lore down, but...
So I think our methodology goes back to a lot of what Malcolm said earlier in my piece of the episode, is that, you know, you almost start with the village where, you know, your first session happens.
It begins in a room where people meet each other, and that's really your first defined space. And you need to have your NPCs that are around there, and then something makes them leave that space and go to another space
and go do something.
Right. And it's like the little Final Fantasy character that the screen becomes something you can see as they take their steps.
I do think it's important to acknowledge that in order to start playing in a homebrew world, you do not need to have it all built out and defined. It can truly be a small little village, a tavern, a mayor's house, and that can be the extent of it in the beginning. And it's piece by piece as you move through a campaign, as your adventurers bring their backstory forward into the game, it evolves and it grows, an ever expanding universe.
It does, and then you
we're all just a TTRPG. Sorry.
Schism.
Oh, Lord.
All right.
Back to it.
Laura, and I agree with absolutely everything that Cady said.
That's two.
I'll chug the iced tea when I'm... but I do want to point out that what matters, you can spend so much time detail building a world. And this could be for a one shot, or we're talking about lore. It really doesn't become sticky until the players interact with it and they give a shit about it. And you really don't know what portions of it are going to be sticky or that they care about. You could end up with a stable attendant being a massive arc NPC where you're just like, I knew that there were horses in the village, but
Jerry apparently is it.
Jerry's your guy. Here at Jerry's Stables and More.
We've adopted Jerry.
Right, exactly. And then the whole thing becomes, but you didn't know that when you sat down to build your world. So as your players ask questions, you as a world builder and somebody who's weaving this lore with them are immediately informed on what's important to them. Okay, where's the house of worship in this? Okay, well, now we know that this we're going to need to, and now religion, and you get to focus on, and what becomes lore from those sessions is what's memorable.
See, and the lore, you don't need the full backstory for the world, correct?
I'm not saying that, absolutely. I'm not going to do it again. you were just setting me up.
I did. I absolutely did.
I muted Mike for my iced tea drink.
I know.
And I was like, wait a minute. They're going for a 3-piece. Definitely. Without question. Yes. 3 yeses equal 1 absolutely.
Hope you said it again.
That is a point of reference.
Nope, you said it.
Emphatic assurance.
Whoa.
What was the last
creative.
There's a lot of lore going on right now.
So you can build the lore with the with the world, with the characters, correct? Like the PCs inform it a hell of a lot more than you would think.
Definitely. And it's going to be what matters to them, so it is low-hanging fruit to make important in your story. And you can shoehorn things in, but they're never going to be the stickiest and the most memorable in what comes back. It's going to be what was happening at the table.
And I do think that plays a lot to things that we've talked about in the past about when you are running a table, being flexible. You know, that you might you might have this incredible situation set up, and maybe you've put in so much time and effort and detail into this scenario or something like that, and instead of going down path A, they decide to go down path B and talk to the little kid in the tavern that
what's
they
the
didn't
kid
anticipate.
doing in the tavern, right?
And all of a sudden,
it's a pot boy.
like if you can pivot, if you can be flexible, that can be your resource point. That can be a recurring character in your world.
Right.
That can be, but if you...
Jerry knows more than we thought.
Right. If you're uncomfortable with that, which some people are going to be, then the other side of that is you need to find a way to steer back to where you need to go without railroading, which is a challenging skill.
It is. And if we talk about the lore aspect of doing that, questions and information.
Yeah.
Questions and information are going to add depth and create hooks so that you're always going to find something that you can use to bring back if you want an arc, if you believe that an arc is important. But there's also going to be a lot on the cutting room floor. There, like you said, from going down the hallway to the different hallway, that could be an entire hours of work that's just not going to be lore. It's not going to, just because you wrote it and it took a long time, doesn't mean that.
But can you shift that? Can you still, even if they didn't take that hook, can you shift it?
I think you can use it. I don't know that you can shoehorn your exact thing in, but it's not a throwaway. You're right.
Mm-hmm. Because how many times have we done something weird and veered the wrong way? I know a lot.
The question was, how many times have we done something weird?
Okay, that was a poor...
I'm not certain that's able to be calculated.
There's too many. That'd be absolutely ridiculous to answer.
Is a Googleplex a bunch? Is that a lot? Anyway, sorry.
But, okay.
It's getting enforced now.
It's fine. I did it purposefully, at least.
I know.
You're going to have mothers worried about...
I know. And guys, he's got iced tea and I've got a monster. Like, it's not like we're getting shit-faced on the mics. That might be highly entertaining for a bonus episode, though. Back to lore.
You know you got a professional in the room. Like, shit-faced on the mics, and now...
I even did the radio voice for it.
I know. I got a little tingle in my toe when I heard it. I know what had happened.
So with building lore, so it's a lot of... You're going to have backstory, right? You have all these players with backstories, which they give you all these nuggets of information, which you can weave into the story, correct?
Weave into the map, weave into the story,
so
make important.
To do that, I mean, you've got a story to begin with, correct?
Yeah.
When you start, especially because we homebrew, you're
always doing something when you meet.
There's a minimum of a problem that needs to be solved and a setting in which it needs to happen. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's like the minimum. So
right.
yeah, there's at least the bones of a story.
And you try to appeal generally to the interests of a lot of first level characters that are going to have a lot of varied interest and intentions at that time. You try to galvanize the group in that first adventure with, yes, you might want to hang out with each other for a while and see if it goes well.
Actually though, that brings to mind a really good point. Thinking about, we just started a new campaign in a completely different setting, new characters, everything like that, and had some conversation. Jess is leading this world in this campaign, and it was a really fun start.
And I identify as a problem.
Yes, and Tori's character, not uncommonly, identifies.
Yeah, but this is the first time she's actually announced it, and this one's louder than everybody else. Celia is kind of
fair.
Nori's quieter. This one is loud.
Yeah. But so in follow-up conversation there, because Jess had never DM'd our group or homebrewed.
But the thing is also, she has been with baby gamers.
Yes.
And not, because there's a difference, but you kind of have to handhold when they're first timers.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not.
Agreed. But like, so I guess the point I was trying to get to is that, she had a really good setting. Like we got so much really good story setting in her opening of that game.
We did.
But she felt that there was a little bit of a struggle to get us where we needed to go. And so one of the conversations she and I had was that, to the point of the hook, is that particularly if you're just starting out, whatever. I mean, you can simply just tell people like, hey, this is where you find yourselves.
Well, and she,
like, you are all in jail and this is what's happened and this is what you need to do. Like you can simply start it there.
Right.
We don't often start like that.
No.
It solves
but
that
you
problem
can, but
of
it solves that problem.
group cohesion immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
The building you're in is on fire. The other 4 people stare back at you smolderingly. And
let's get the fuck out of
and
here.
at least for that initial moment, there's group cohesion, and then we got to get the fuck out of here. And if
Like,
we
what do
help
we
each
do
other-
now?
Right. So, that world that she's building, and I hope it's another setting that we get to apply lore to, through shared backstory, and then just game session and things like that. I think that it's a really rich idea and good homebrew that she's working.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing with, okay, so with modules, you have lore, but they give you all the lore, right? Now, everybody tweaks. If you run a module, do you tweak it?
The module is not very recognizable a lot of times.
So you tweak the hell out of it.
Yes.
Have you? I don't think you've ever run a module, so
No.
yeah, you are homebrew
I've
king.
tweaked a few times. I've tweaked my own homebrew stuff in the middle of things, but I've not. We've discussed this. No.
Yeah.
I've not.
So that hands you lore. You glean lore, but you've got stuff already in back.
Right,
Like you have a story partially in your head.
I'm informing the story usually from either character points, NPC points that have arcs that affect the table, and what I know about the group's goals. I'm going to have that as loose framework, and most of it is going to be written for me. It's going to be what the players do and then want to do next, and I just kind of make sure that if there's an overarching theme, that there's enough contact points with it that it stays relevant.
Well, and let's be real, a huge piece of where the lore and story goes is based on the character's backstory and what's going to fuck with them.
Yes. I've always, in my
See, I told you this
experience,
was a conversation.
what's going to fuck with them is a very good place to start. And while we're all being very good citizens here,
Sorry, Dennis.
whoop these shit back to Star Wars. I'm never going to learn the buttons for this. Why was there?
Whoopsie shit, go back to Star Wars.
Star Wars is not in our lore.
We're going to have a long conversation with whoever's in the sound room.
The recording booth.
Is shit. That's us.
Yeah. No, we can't blame it on anybody else.
We'll work on that.
Okay.
Jess is not here.
No,
Just saying. Could be Jess's fault.
it's Devin's fault.
It's always
It's
Devin's.
always Devin's fault.
I have a family member.
Speaking,
Oh, do you really? Oh, no.
Will never ever
Probably.
listen, but yeah.
Sorry, Devin.
speaking of lore that gets time and effort put in but doesn't go
Devin.
anywhere.
Okay. Okay, so you're on a subway bus with Jess's character. Okay. We had no idea. We had no idea.
I'm going to just say she played that.
She did.
fucking
She was brilliant.
It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I take nothing away from my ability to pivot there, but that was just role-playing VTM like she'd been doing it for 20 years. And
That
I
was
sitting there
brilliant.
going, well, fuck, are you bluffing?
That's exactly the same look you had. You were just like,
I had like 8 throat rip out scenarios
Oh, I'm
going
sure.
on in my head, and she's just like, no. And I'm like, and this poor NPC. Yeah, dude.
we will never know Devin's fate.
We won't. Final death. Yeah, dude, absolutely. Everybody's
We have nuked
Sorry.
NPCs so many times before.
just sitting here having an inside conversation in the middle of a lore conversation.
Sorry.
This is
But it's lore.
But it is.
It is. It's
Honestly, it does. It makes a really good point about how the players and the game influence, to your point, what sticks, what is lore. You had put effort and time into this encounter with this NPC.
Absolutely.
And the players' good playing resulted in them getting out of a situation
that they should not
have been able to get out of.
That happens a lot around me.
It's DM dice.
It is DM dice. But so now, like, Devin is not lore. They're a blip in the game, Now they're, a fun little side joke for all of us constantly. But as far as lore in the game,
so many of my top tier NPCs end up as, what'd you call it? A blip.
Tim's dead.
Tim was a masterpiece.
So just saying, if it keeps happening, maybe something needs to change.
Oh, yes, it does. Great suggestion from Arcadia. If this keeps happening, what might need to change? Player pain.
There it is. Yeah, you're screwed now.
Is at an all-time low, and we just need to bounce back. We need to make player pain.
But
great again.
No. Never.
Gross.
Yeah, that was.
Ouch.
You're gonna have to edit that out. Yeah, exactly. Drink your tea. It'll wash the taste away.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
There it is.
Yeah, whoopty shit. Back to Star Wars.
So basically, lore, building that lore, you have stuff in your head to begin with.
Uh-huh.
You have a story, right?
Right.
And you've got parts of that story, but you already know that the players are going to give you more of that. They're going to make the story bigger. And then you can add more pieces in, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You definitely can. And that's why I'm not down on modules. I'm not down on playing in an established world, because established worlds have volumes and novels filled with lore.
And you can build your own too, but
it just feels to me more immersive to know that we're constantly scribing what's going on, and it's impactful on levels that we give a shit about.
We're building our own Elminster.
And yeah. And I will also say that as we, as you get deeper, as you get longevity, as you get more campaigns, as you get more characters, as you, develop everything, we have taken it to that next level. We have gone to the point where it's not just all gameplay that's influenced. We've sat down for weekends at a time, drawing maps,
seen me stretched out on the ground, right? Drawing the Underdark,
identifying kingdom politics,
interviewing each other about parts of the world that we built, and just asking questions.
Yeah,
that's what's going to get you lore.
And doing that is that next level, because all of that work that we've done does now influence how we are building our current campaigns at the table.
Right.
But you can use that in the game. Like, because you drop nuggets. I've seen you do it too. You drop nuggets of lore.
Oh, yeah.
And then wait for people to figure out, wait, I think that was important. Mm-hmm. I think I should have paid attention better to that. The note takers figure shit out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the note takers remind you.
We did this last time.
You took notes, right?
I circled. It had to have been important, Malcolm, because I circled. Oh no, it was definitely important. For their scribbling. Fuck yeah, it was important.
Well, and it's really funny because we do play in a homebrew world, and we play in a homebrew world that we played in forever. You can introduce those old characters. Mm-hmm. As NPCs. That's the coolest part. Like, we didn't realize we had ran across Gibbs.
Yeah, absolutely. You can put those things in there, and it's almost, in some ways, depending on how you use them, it's nuggets of fantasy investment and role-playing investment, where you get to come back and reward your players for caring about something or something mattering.
Easter eggs.
And it is. It's a lot like Easter eggs, but then I also think of how cool it is. Like you talk about, we had a first gen and a second gen. We've got, if you go back to the classroom example that Cady was talking about, and I can't get this out of my head, is you keep the world going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, year after year.
Yeah, and then
you build it.
Your class members from the first and second year, their players retire, become NPCs, and maybe that's part of your final project is your adventuring days are done. Now what do? And you populate the world with previous characters. I'm sure this is all happening, and I'm
just picturing a classroom where you have something, and obviously it's not the whole classroom,
papered in character sheets,
where you have something that stays up, that gets built on
that map.
Like
we've drawn on that map.
Yeah, that map. And that you think about it, that there are schools that do different kinds of projects that everybody knows. Oh, the 8th grade project is XYZ, and it's been going on this way for however many years. And I just think about how cool would that be to have, the geography project in 7th grade is this TTRPG for a month or something.
And you map build
and everybody knows, and you can, when you come back to the classroom to visit, or whatever, you see how it's been built on and how your stuff is there and what's that just seems so cool.
I want to chew on that at another time. Is there anything else? I really want to chew on that at another time. Because once again, I'm of the mind that this can't be the first time this is thought of. Somebody's not only done this, but refined it, and it's out there.
There are teachers out there doing this.
So if you're listening to this and you know anybody that's working in this space from a counselor level, from a teacher level to a local game shop.
I got names in the community of people who are doing this.
Ooh.
You got names to share now?
Well, I don't have them right in front of me. I'd have to pull up my computer.
Okay.
But I do. This has been really good discussion in the community. I have had a lot of responses from educators, from therapists, from
and this really kind of
people who are doing this
to where we want to be as a podcast, where we're shining light on these folks and
it's a conversation
and talking about them and getting movement towards that. I love all of that. Anything else on lore?
No.
We're good. Thanks. This was great, Tori.
See? Yeah. I was like, it was a conversation because really I knew.
Really informative.
Well, we love Arcadia.
We do. And we'd love you to find Arcadia. We'd love you to find Arcadia on all of our socials.
And maybe, just maybe, those of you who would like to support us on Patreon for less than a cup of coffee, cue the Sarah McLaughlin. But there might be maps eventually.
Maps eventually.
We have pictures of said map because there are already maps, y'all.
There's big wall-sized maps.
More than a few minutes of
ridiculousness,
pre-show ridiculousness.
And gummy bears.
And we're not telling you anything more than that. Just gummy bears. But I think that the value of the Patreon continues to grow. We would love for you to support our effort here in bringing you Finding Arcadia. You can find us at www.wordleafmedia/findingarcadia.com.
Wordleafmedia.com.
/Finding Arcadia.
There you go.
You can find us at www.wordleafmedia.com.
Oh, don't puke on the mic.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
You know the web address.
And now you don't want to touch it. Okay. But if you find us out there, yes, you can find a button that leads to our Patreon. We'll say Patreon again because we'd love your support at Patreon. Is there anything else that we want to tell them before we're going?
We're good.
We'll see you next time.
Guys, it's been a lot of fun. Have a good time, a good week, and we'll see you next time on Finding Arcadia.
Take care, guys.
Bye.